A mother is devastated after her 8-year-old sneaks out of the house and goes missing. But why did she marry her alleged kidnapper? This is the story of Toya Hill. Toya Hill was born on August 24th, 1973, and lived in the Perkins Housing Projects in Baltimore, Maryland with her mom, Annette Stanley, 13-year-old brother, and 2 sisters aged 10 and 3. Toya was in the 3rd grade and attended City Springs Elementary School. She was described as shy and well-behaved. She won trophies for perfect attendance and participation while making good grades. She didn't like getting in trouble, and she always listened to her mother. Well, until that one day. On March 24th, 1983, Toya came home from school, ate a snack, and her mother, Annette, gave her permission to play outside. Annette was getting married 3 days later, so at 6:15 p.m., she left her home and went to her wedding dress fitting, while Toya stayed back home with her siblings. Sometime after Annette left, Toya told her sister that she was going to walk to the grocery store to get candy. Her sister told her that their mom would be upset if she goes out without permission, but Toya said she didn't care and was going to go anyways. She left her home to head to the grocery store, which was 2 blocks away. This would be the first time Toya had ever disobeyed her mother. Toya was wearing a blue and orange striped t-shirt and a blue jacket. According to reports, Toya was last seen talking to 2 men in a grocery store parking lot. One of those men just so happened to be one of Annette's ex-boyfriends and his friend. The reports on whether or not Toya made it to the store is conflicting. Some reports state that Toya never made it to the store, but according to an article that was published during the early days of Toya's disappearance, it states that Toya's friends last saw her when she went into a corner store with a man who offered to buy her candy. Toya's friends stated that they saw her walk into the store with the man and waited for her to come back with candy. But the store owner, Yon Lee, states that she didn't remember seeing Toya enter the store. That same article stated that when questioning the man that went into the store with Toya, he claimed that he left the store before Toya did. According to police, there were no witnesses to see Toya step into the store as well. Annette arrived back home around 7 p.m. that day, and Toya was nowhere to be found. Toya was reported missing shortly after. Annette and almost 150 people frantically searched the neighborhood, according to the Baltimore Sun, but there was still no sign of Toya. Although Annette's ex and the friend he was with were questioned, the authorities cleared the 2 men as suspects. Annette, who was completely distraught, felt that her ex took Toya to get her back. She was just getting married in a few days and felt like this was his crazy attempt to win her back. After learning that he was one of the last people witnessed to see Toya, Annette would call her ex many times, leaving him voice messages begging him to bring her back. But he would always call her back, stating that he had no idea where Toya was. Although all of this was going on, Annette still went on with her wedding with hopes that her ex would cave in and give Toya back. Now, many people try to use Annette's getting married as a way to prove that Annette was crazy and may have had something to do with Toya's disappearance. But according to reports, Annette's wedding was a very sad day. Annette apparently burst into tears during the ceremony and refused to open her gifts. Toya was supposed to be a flower girl, and Annette had promised Toya that she could have a sip of champagne at her wedding. Completely devastated, Annette reportedly saved the champagne for a time when the family could all celebrate together. This was very hard on Toya's siblings as well. Annette stated that her son bottled his feelings up inside, while her daughters would start crying randomly without the mention of Toya. For a while after Toya's disappearance, Annette would set a plate at the dinner table for Toya, but only when she realized how sad it was for the rest of her kids, she stopped. She used to find pictures of Toya that the kids had put under their pillows at night. According to sources, Annette divorced her husband, John Poindexter, in May of 1984 after filing divorce papers in July of 1983. Somewhere along that time, Annette came up with a plan to get Toya back, or at least some answers. Soon after divorcing her husband, Annette got back with her ex-boyfriend and married him. Yes, Annette married the man she believed kidnapped her daughter. Throughout the marriage, Annette continued to question the man about Toya, but he always kept the same story, which was that him and Toya went their separate ways after running into each other. The couple was only married for a few months before Annette divorced him, leaving her with no answers to what happened to Toya. The man is now deceased. Although it is bizarre to marry your daughter's alleged kidnapper, I feel that Annette was trying to do anything in her power to find out what happened to her daughter. As the years went by, Toya's return seemed less and less likely. In 2008, Baltimore police found remains of a girl who they thought to be the age Toya would be. Annette was asked to give a DNA sample, but it turned out not to be a match. Toya has also been tested as a St. Louis Jane Doe, but it wasn't her. This left Annette with conflicting emotions. On one hand, it meant that Toya could still be alive, but on the other hand, it meant that they still had no answers to what happened to her. Annette states what kept her going was her other kids. Even though she acknowledges that Toya may no longer be here, Annette still allows herself to imagine that her now grown-up daughter may one day walk into the door.